Welcome back, everyone, to Merge Conflict, your weekly developer podcast where Frank is tilted slightly to your right and or
I don't know where center is. Hi, James. I'm not centered.
You're not
Centering's
centered.
boring. I like it when you are in the corner, like Mr. Robot. I think we should do like dramatic video effects and things like that.
It's hard to center a div, and it's hard to center a Frank Krueger. So yes, Frank Krueger with me as always. I'm James Montemagno. We're back with an app-filled week. I mean, we've been gone for a week, and yet we may have crushed so much app code this week, Frank, that it is kind of crazy. And I've did some ridiculous things that I'm really excited about in not only just my existing apps, but porting of apps, updating of apps, porting other friends' apps as well with them in the repo, contributing back to the ecosystem. But I want to start with a new app this week, Frank Krueger, because it is lightning rounds 520. Ooh. Put it, boom, 520 episodes. That is 10 years of podcast.
We have more than 500 episodes? Oh my God.
Yeah, it's a lot. I mean, so there's 52 weeks in a year.
Oh, hello.
Right, so
10-year anniversary, babe. Hi, James.
Don't forget leap years, right? Did leap year mess us up on the 10? I don't think so. It shouldn't have that much, but like, did it? I don't know.
No one understands calendars. It's fine. We'll just pretend it's our 10-year anniversary. How about that? And we'll make up, like, is that the diamond anniversary? Probably not. We'll call it the copper anniversary. It's the copper anniversary. There's probably an anniversary for 10 years.
It could be. What we should actually do is go all the way to the very, very tippity top. July 11th was our first episode. So if we went to like, but year over year,
so close.
We'd get
3 more weeks. We'll
3
be
more
there.
weeks.
Or 2 more weeks in pod time.
So let's talk about the new app, Frank, because we got lightning topics, 5 minutes each. We'll see how we do here.
Mm-hmm.
So already GitHub Copilot, at least my favorite agentic development tool, and possibly yours, has been available. Obviously, it started its life and its breath sort of on inside of VS Code, moved to Visual Studio, other IDEs, GitHub.com, into the CLI, and then into a brand new GitHub Copilot app called the GitHub Copilot app. I like to call that they Tarantino'd it, where if other folks are starting with the CLI and the app and then going to other platforms, they started inside the editor that's there. And the GitHub Copilot app is out, and it is basically not just a home for GitHub Copilot, but sort of home for your entire software development lifecycle on GitHub and also with GitHub Copilot, because it is not just agent sessions that you have, but it's also your backlog, your work, your pull requests, your automations, and a whole bunch of other things in there. Now, have you been along for the MVP ride of the GitHub Copilot app for a while, Frank?
I have, but I haven't been a good tester. I'm the kind of tester that uses it for 1 hour, thinks a lot of bad thoughts, and then moves on. That's how I like to beta test. And I appreciate everyone out there who's a better tester than I am. So I did try it out a long time ago, but I'll be honest, I haven't touched it. Basically, I went from beta 1 to release. So I ignored all the progression in between those two things.
Yeah, it's really neat. So if you've ever seen like maybe Codex or Claude or the agent windows inside of VS Code, you can think of it as multi-session agent management. So you have multiple repos or folders on your machine. It doesn't matter where the code's at. It doesn't actually have to be on GitHub, spoiler alert. But you're able to fan out these different sessions to work with different agents. You can do it locally or on work trees. The cool part about this is that it is extremely deeply integrated natively with GitHub. And what I mean by that is that when I am coding with the agent, it is able to obviously get deep insight into my issues, into other pull requests, but it has this concept of agent merging up to the point where you decide if you want the agent to actually merge. And what this does is it will be aware of your CI/CD pipelines. It will be aware of code reviews, and it can even be aware of pushing code, waiting for CI, kicking off builds, monitoring it, and getting that back. And it's not just an agent merge, it's even during like normal coding flows that you can kick off these different integrations that it's doing. So I have this all the time, especially with my Mac applications or Windows apps, that I need to not only kick off things, but I need to run like a sort of a burst of different CI pipelines that I may need to do that involve different signing that I may not do on my local machine. So it can not only start to merge, it can wait for those things to come in, fix them in real time, also kick off a code review, respond to the code review in real time, implement that and say, hey, we've done not just your checks and balances, but also all of the other agent checks and
Mhm.
balances. Are you ready to merge in at that point? Now, the cool part about all of this is that in addition to that, um, sessions can kick off additional sessions. So you can say, hey,
Yeah.
I want to just have one chat area, go find the top 5 bugs, and it'll automatically do that. And it'll orchestrate all those sessions, report back to the main session. But sessions, Frank, can hop across repos. This is
Well, it's about time.
unbelievable. This is unbelievable. Because if you're, for example, maybe working in a sub module and a sub repo, and you want to say, hey, I've just implemented this fix. I want to update this. This is working good. Go apply it to this. It'll kick off a session and it will report status back from a different session in a different repo back to the main one, which is bananas.
Yes. Thank you, GitHub, for realizing that we use multiple repositories, for our projects. It only took a couple of years for them to realize that, so thank you. I do have to laugh a little bit because, like, I felt like it can be a little bit of a token hog because it likes to use those tokens. And so when they announced the feature of like it can kick off other sessions, I'm just like, well, there goes my monthly allowance. that's going to be gone instantly. And yeah, there's like a few like skills just for that. I forgot what did they call the skill that I'm reading through my notes because I took notes on this puppy.
Ooh.
Because we've had autopilot, we've had fleet. Now there's like some other skill where you can launch off all these multiple sessions and everything. I think it's called like super crazy mode or use all my tokens mode, something like that. But
know.
it's cool. I did have a funny critique though. I was really laughing because my first annoyance with it was it wasn't actually handling my submodules very well. Because a lot of my apps use submodules, and it's like, hey, buddy, I would love to change that thing, but it's in a submodule, and the submodule is not checked out. I'm like, dude, just check out the submodule. It's like, all right, submodule checked out. Now I can work on it. And then it's like, gee, it would be nice if I could commit the submodule, but I don't have an SSH key for that. I'm like, babe, you're literally using an SSH key that can work with all this stuff. It's like, you're right, dude. I can totally do that. And then it checked in all the code. So like, it's capable, but I think they got to tune the system prompts a tiny bit.
Yeah,
you got to poke it a little bit.
It's a /orchestrate, which is coordinate work across sessions and repos, multiple repo changes. There's RubberDuck. There's also SPAR, adversarial reasoning.
SPAR.
Research.
I haven't tried SPAR yet, but that sounds fun. That sounds like what you do when you pit multiple networks against each other. So yeah. I do want to try out SPAR a little bit more.
Yeah.
It's been good. It's been working for me. Like I said, my biggest complaints are it churns a little bit on tokens, which is a little annoying. But I like how it does work trees, so you can actually work on multiple things at once. It's just nice having that baked into it. And it actually found my build tools. One of the early beta versions like refused to find any of my build tools, and that was a little bit annoying. But like even with its multiple work trees, it's able to build everything. And I do like that it's PR focused because I use Codex a bit too. And it's like pulling teeth sometimes to get it to like commit things into a PR and manage all that. Like it can do it, obviously it can do it, but it takes a lot of typing and prompting to get the little sucker to behave. So I like that this one's kind of like PR first, and I prefer that kind of workflow.
It is super duper PR first, which is great. They just added support for local models, so you can add a provider and you could add your own local model in there. That came like a day later, by the way. Okay. So under
that was going to be my major critique, and you've beat me to it. Okay, so they actually support local models. That's good.
It's there. Plugins, MCP skills, all that stuff. Tons of themes. You can do random themes. I just have the default GitHub. Voice dictation in the box that also came in one day after release, and then. Like you point it at a folder, it picks up everything if you want, which is really nice, or you can automatically clone things. I do agree with you. I think that this working with PRs is so important when you're working with work trees because it makes work trees are nice to work on multiple things at once, but this whole concept of work on multiple things causes merge conflicts and this, and that agent merge
Yeah.
helps out all of that in real time. Instead of prompting it, it has all of these built-in skills that handle it for you automatically. And that is super duper nice at the end of the day. And then additionally, two other things I want to point out is like it does have the concept of my work. So it has, you can filter all that stuff, but automations, if we remember agentic workflows, Frank, remember those? We talked about those.
Yeah.
Kind of a pain in the butt.
They renamed them again on me or something. So I probably have to redo all of mine. But yeah, they're back. What do they call them now?
Just automations.
Automations. Another word. Okay.
At least that's what they're called. And I think they might just be using agentic workflows. I don't know.
Of course.
But you can set up like changelog drafts, issue triage, performance improvements, things that will happen on a recurring basis. Cron jobs, baby, they're back. And I'm super duper excited about that. And this has been a great starting point. And you can one click hop into VS Code. And the cool part about that integration is that it will not just open your work tree, but it'll also show you your actual session too. Like these sessions on that work tree will show up because the sessions are shared in this shared state across everything. So that's really nice. You can open obviously in VS Code or IntelliJ or any other things like that. It'll do the same thing. But it's been definitely one of the areas where I'm working on, and I'm spending a lot of time if I want to be super agent first, right? And I'm not really caring as much as with the code, but I can hop into VS Code and then pick up exactly where I left off, which is cool. The most interesting part that they showed at Build, and it took me a while to actually grasp this concept, is as developers, we install these developer tools, and we are, for all intents and purposes, we have the way that team told us to work with agents. Like you are working with sessions in a list from repos. And for that repo, this is how you're working with your issues, assigning things and visualizing everything all at once. And the GitHub Copilot app has this concept of a canvas, which allows you to have a palette, an area, basically almost the entirety of the UI. Yeah, it's a metaphor. Okay. I'm going to see if I could grasp this. But a canvas allows you to create a canvas to say, I would like to work in a Kanban style with my agents. I want you to create a Kanban board with all my backlogs. And when I drag and drop around, I want you to assign to agents and update them in real time. Or maybe I would like to create a canvas that is aware of my repo and will draft all of my in my release notes for me, and it'll find open issues assigned to this, and I can assign to the agent, and it'll spin up things. So what I did recently is I created a canvas that is like Tinder. So it opens up a canvas, and it has a stack of all of my issues. So I'm triaging my issues. So how do you triage your issues on GitHub.com? You open one. What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? So I open up this, and it has a stack of cards. Here's all of mine. I can swipe to the right to assign it to an agent that will start a session. It'll just start a brand new session for me. I can swipe to the left to close the issue for me automatically. I can swipe up, and I can either get a pre-filled list of recommendations of comments to add, like we'll work on this later, we'll do this thing later, need more information. Or I can type something in, or I can swipe down to just come back to it later. So I can triage my backlog in this unique way, but it's integrated with the entire agent loop. The entire harness is available, which means you have access to everything, your issues, your workflows, your integrations, the agent sessions, anything you want. You can kind of envision working with these things. And that's actually how the GitHub Copilot app team works on it. They open up a canvas, which is their backlog, and they triage and they assign things out through the GitHub Copilot app. It's crazy. So
I like that a lot because even though I'm not 100% sold on the metaphor and how you actually use it, like I would like to see a lot of pre-baked templates and all that stuff, but I haven't used the feature, so I won't be too critical of it. But my biggest complaint with these agent UIs is the user interface just has not improved in the last 6 months. Like we all got stuck with these silly CLI ways of interacting with these agents, and that was just a fun random detour. Hopefully we got all that out of our system. So now that we're moving back to GUIs, thank you. It'd be nice to see an actual let's be honest, all these GUIs right now are just clones of the CLIs. They're still just checkboxes. They're still just chat windows showing a diff. So it'd be nice to actually up the UI game a little
Yeah.
bit. And it sounds like that's what Canvas is trying to do.
Yeah.
Now, I would like them to actually pre-bake a few of these canvases in, because like your canvas sounds awesome. I would like that to just be a view mode that I could switch to, but making it configurable and making it per what I want it to be, that's a good idea too. But let's work on the UI, everyone. Like this whole chat-based thing is just for the birds.
Yeah, there's awesome Copilot, and I dropped a link that has a bunch of extensions that a bunch of the team members and community members have done so far. There's about 11 in there. But the one I did is called Backlog Swipe Triage. The accessibility Kanban, I think that's what the team uses. You can kind of click on the image and see, so it's like a Kanban style. And then the one that I really like, which I think is really fascinating, there's feedback themes that will like group all of your backlog by themes to help you dive through it. And it uses the Copilot SDK. But the very bottom one is maybe my favorite because you can use it in any session. It's called Where Was I? And so you have all these sessions and all these agents, and you come back to them the next day and you're like, what was I doing? And what did I do? And what it will do is it will give you all of your uncommitted changes, recent commits, and summarize everything that you've done. And it'll tell you, when did you last do something on the session, which is crazy. It's like a history of what this session was. And then of course, it's just like a HTML window, but you know what I mean? It's kind of cool. It's just like right there.
And this matters because I'll be honest, I am using 3 different AI agent programs like VS Code, Copilot, and Codex, as I mentioned, on a machine. Then inside a virtual machine on that machine, guess what? I'm using all 3 again. And then I have another computer over here. Guess what? I'm using all 3 over there too.
Yeah.
So I have like 9 apps. Each app can have multiple sessions now. I don't know what's working on what anymore. Yeah. I'm just like, I'm like clicking through. I'm like, I know I started a session over here. So I know they can't solve the problem of like, I'm sure it doesn't integrate with the VS Code and everything, but anyone who's working on this, please come up with an open standard for all these sessions and everything. Sorry, another critique of the Copilot app is like, it doesn't pull down all my sessions that are already on github.com. Like there's a Copilot section there that has all my agents and a big session history there. And that session history doesn't come down. I'm like, guys, like, it's all the same thing. Just like they're all just chats. Like pull them all together so I can find this stuff and index it, please. So I hope everyone will get on this.
I won't announce or say anything, but I will drop a link, or you can just Google with Bing Agent Host Protocol, and you can give that a little looky. The key here is it's from Microsoft, and it says Agent Host Protocol synchronize multi-client state for AI agent sessions.
Thank you.
Yeah. It's actually being integrated into VS Code and a bunch of other things already. So anyways, take a look at that. I don't have anything to announce at this point in time, but I'm sure that many things that you're talking about, if they annoy someone else, they probably are being worked on. But let's change topics because we're way over 5 minutes. And the GitHub Copilot app deserves much more. But I think you need a lot of time to invest and get into it to actually to use it more. And I'm still on my journey too, even though I've dog-fooded it for a long time. But I use all of our tools so much.
Canvas.
Yeah. Give it a go. And there's a /create canvas, and you can come up with ideas and you can tell it to do stuff, and it just builds it. Let's talk about a little bit of Windows development. Frank, you and I have been on a Windows app development tear this last week. I'm interested in your journey to WinUI 3 development and what caused you to maybe it was build, like all the Windows dev stuff is back, but maybe that's what was your big boost for WinUI development this week.
That would be a good reason to do it. I have a much worse reason why I started doing some native WinUI development. You know what? It's the background shading they put on all the apps now, the little like purple shading, and specifically, I believe it's called the Mika background or something like that, that's on all the apps. I'll be honest, I haven't used Windows in a long time. I'm a Mac person, so I'm a Mac first lifestyle. But I was trying Windows out for, I forgot what I was working on, but I was just trying it out. And I was like, you know what? Windows 11 doesn't look half bad. It's like they did some design work here, and it's looking half decent. And then I opened my app in it, and I'm like, that's not looking half decent. That's looking less than half decent. We'll call it a quarter decent. And I got a little bit upset with myself because I do
Mhm.
pride myself on having good native UIs on all the platforms. But it had just been far too long since I did like a proper end-to-end UI refresh of iCircuit on Windows. And I'm like, you know what? Windows 11 is looking decent these days. I need to make my app look decent and adopt modern UI stuff. So I'll be honest, it's not the best business decision I ever made because I don't make a ton of money on Windows, but at the same time, it's more of a pride and quality thing. And I do have a bunch of Windows users out there, and I'm like, I need to make these people happy, A, for myself, B, for them. And so I just wanted to make my app like a first class, good looking power app on Windows. And so I've been porting iCircuit to Windows for maybe the fourth or fifth time. The first time I did it, I did Windows 8 RT, WinRT in
Mhm.
Windows 8.
Mhm.
The second time I did it, I think it was UWP. And then I never quite finished that one completely because I couldn't make it pretty and happy. Then I worked on a WinForms Win Desktop version of it.
Wow. Nice.
Yeah. And then I worked on a Maui version of
Nice.
it, and that was getting closer because that actually gives you a lot of the WinUI, Win11 stuff, but not quite enough. It just there were parts of it that weren't quite native-y enough for me. So I'm like, you know what? Just full in, 100% in WinUI 3. We're not supposed to call it WinUI 3 anymore. We're supposed to just call it WinUI. So full WinUI app and just going for broke. And I just want to make a good looking, powerful native Windows app, which will also be Windows 10 compatible, but
Yep.
make it definitely look good on Win 11. So that's been my crazy journey through Windows. And I'm mostly just looking forward to deleting all the old Windows projects and just having a nice, fresh WinUI version of the app.
Yeah, I've been kind of in the same boat because I have Tiny Clips, which is my little clipping application. I never was going to bring it over to Windows because there's Snipping Tool, and I love Snipping
Hmm.
Tool. I use it all the time. However, Snipping Tool snips extremely well, but it doesn't do some of the editing that I want and some of the niceties that maybe I did into the Mac app. That would be kind of
Does it
cool to
even make
pull
GIFs,
in.
bro?
It doesn't make GIFs. It does record videos, and it even
Okay.
does mic and audio things, which is nice. And I do use it all the time. But you obviously have to know the keyboard shortcut or whatever. But I do want it in the toolbar. That's what I really like about my Tiny Clips is just right there, and I'm a button clicker, even though I have keyboard shortcuts, but they're there. And I also always had this idea of that I really um, there's like a markup that I do, right? I build apps for myself, but there's a markup that I do that, yes, it's built into Paint or yes, it's into Photoshop or whatever, but I want to just really lightweight, add an arrow, do a curved arrow, do a
Mm,
thing, do numbers, XYZ.
right.
And I want that built in.
Annotations. Okay. I wasn't sure
Annotations.
what you meant markup. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So the first thing that I did, more importantly, is that I've been messing around with the Windows developer config. So this is a script that you can run on your Windows machine that, for all intents and purposes, automates the setup for your machine for
Now you
development.
tell me.
So
Oh my God.
yeah,
James, you know how many progress bars I've looked at over the last 5 days? I've just been living in progress bar land.
I do want to remind everybody here, if you go back to the build episode, I basically told Frank all this before. So
I'm sure
this
I
will
listened.
install all sorts of stuff. So it'll install all of your PowerShell, Git, CLI, VS Code, .NET, Python, Node, Core Utils, Oh My Posh, Power Toys, a bunch of terminal integrations, Cascadia fonts. It sets up dark theme, developer mode, long pass, file explorer, start search cleanup, edge policies, other workspace defaults. It removes all the widgets, all the things, sets up WSL, Ubuntu, run once, and a bunch of other stuff. It does all this stuff for you. And it takes a while to run, but it just runs it and it does it all for you. And I'm always setting up new machines, or I even ran this on my existing machine and it worked great. And the cool part about that is that it also installs, I think or at least somehow I got the WinUI CLI, and actually the WinUI
Mm,
development team has been on the team or on a RIP where they announced a new VS Code extension, they announced a new CLI, new WinUI templates, and also a WinUI agent plugin for anywhere that you want to code. And what I realized that there's a WinUI UI agent and a bunch of other ones like a debug, a test, and whatever agents.
Okay.
And I was like, hey, bro, you have the CLI, you got the templates, you got these things. Let's go. Let's
Mm-hmm.
tear on it. And I was inspired because I use tons of power tools and I wanted my right clicks. I wanted my UI. I wanted to be super good, WinUI, and I wanted it to be beautiful because I agree. I think there's some beautiful UI. They've done a great job and I really like it. And in under 24 hours, 48 hours, I had a full app like ready to go and a good
Nice.
prototype on there. And you go to tinyclips.app, then you'll see there's a Mac and a Windows version ready to go for you because we'll talk about the next topic of me getting it onto Winget. But I'm on a tear. And I actually made a statement on Twitter a while ago that I said, I'm rewriting all of my Windows apps in WinUI. Now that might be through Maui or it may just be through WinUI, depending on the app and what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But that is my goal at the end of the day because I want these native apps because you and I are like you're native app
Yeah.
people at the end of the day. As well as, you can't get away from us. It's if you know, you know.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, it's such a I don't know how many users actually care, but I care that, like, the background of the window is being rendered by the operating system, and it's not me choosing a random theme. It's when the user switches from dark mode to light mode, my app responds immediately, it obeys
Mm-hmm.
the user. The font sizes, one of my biggest critiques on Windows right now is like feels like every different app has a different font size because like
Mm-hmm.
they're all doing DPI awareness incorrectly mostly, and then they're all reading system settings mostly incorrectly, and a lot of them are just web apps now, and they're just off doing their own style sheets. So like it drives me a little bit nuts just looking at all the different font sizes and everything in Windows apps. So I just want all that provided by the OS.
Yeah.
I think there's beauty in conformity,
Yeah.
and it also means like your app kind of auto updates itself when Microsoft decides, oh, we're going to change how Windows Chrome renders. Then your app just picks that up and it keeps your app looking fresh. And I don't have to recompile it for every little whimsical change Microsoft decides to do to their operating system. So there's those kind of benefits too. Plus, I just want to look good on the store. When people look at the screenshots on the store, they should be like, "Oh yeah, that looks like a modern app. That doesn't look like just a website in a shell."
Yep.
No offense to
Exactly.
websites in a shell. I get it. There's pragmatic reasons to do that, but I'm a solo dev. I can do a native app. It's fine.
Yeah, I agree. Like when I open a Mac app or an iOS app or Windows app, like, I know what it is. I know the toolbars, I know the things. And I agree. That was one of my biggest motivations of moving, to modern stacks for my cadence and my stream timer and these other things, whether it be Maui or native language or, native WinUI, whatever it is like to get back to my native roots that are also important to me, whether the app is cross-platform or not. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that has been one of my key things that I've really enjoyed doing so far and tying in those isms to make all the apps that I'm using, especially ones that I create for myself, all have the native user interface so I can hop around and the things all make sense to me. The toolbars all make sense. All these things make sense. The slide out all makes sense. So when Apple updates their
Yeah.
UI, boom, it's the same thing. So I've been enjoying
Yeah.
it. And the third thing here that I think is so fascinating, you're not there yet, you might have it easier, is the packaging of
Oh
these
no.
up. Yeah.
No, I don't have it easier. No. We'll see. I'm curious to see what you say here, but packaging I think is still one of the biggest mystery boxes in my life when it comes to Windows because I feel like I don't have enough apps on the Microsoft Store where I feel like intuitively I don't have a good intuition for how to set up my app and get all the
Mm.
certificates right and get all the publishing identities right and all that stuff. I have two different Microsoft.com accounts and it feels like every piece of software uses the wrong one. No matter, you would think it's 50-50. It's not. No, they know which one to use and they use the other one. That's how
Mhm.
the software seems to work. So I'll let you continue with packaging, but don't you dare for a second say I have it easy.
Oh, well, I've been spoiled because honestly, to get things onto the Microsoft Store, it's usually inside of Visual Studio, right click, publish, go, and it does everything for you. Version number this, that, it'll upload your binary, do all the whack tests, all these other things, and get it onto the store. And that's honestly the easiest, in my personal opinion, is inside of
Okay.
Visual Studio. You got the WinUI development. Just now, maybe the CLI does it for you automatically, which would be great for CI/CD, but it automatically will get the certs, get everything for you. It's kind of like Xcode, kind of like the build where it just like
Eh,
does it all auto as long as you're logged into the
You
right account,
say that.
Frank. No, it does. I
Yeah,
swear.
well, no, yeah, it does. But if you look in the CS proj, there's like a bunch of random little properties that get set with like 3 paragraph comments saying when to uncomment and comment that one. They keep moving where publishing profiles go. You say they auto build for different platforms. Guess what? That's not auto magic. It doesn't always do that correctly, especially if you have native dependencies and stuff like that. So my whole problem with it is like there's a lot of magic involved in that right click publish. And when the magic works, great. When the magic doesn't work, oh boy, you're just reading some out of date docs and trying to
Yeah,
figure it all out.
it's kind of like the Xcode cloud build. Like when it works, it's great. And then I was like, oh, I need to add widget support for live tile or for live tiles, for live activities and dynamic island. And I was like, I hope it has like, I'm like, I hope this works in the thing. Like, I don't,
Yeah,
it took me a while, but I did get it working. But like the right click did not just work in Xcode.
yeah.
And I was like,
So
okay,
you know
cool.
when I
But
hit publish, because you're going to get 1,000 texts being like, James, try to install my app. James, try to buy my app. Like I'm just going to need testers. By the way, if you're listening to this and you want to help me, I don't know how to do beta tests on the Microsoft Store, but I would love to do a beta test round because I'm pretty much guaranteed to mess up that first publishing. But I promise I'll get it right eventually.
you could, there's like a beta group. It's pretty simple. It's pretty simple, I swear. The one thing I've been going down the rabbit hole though is a lot of my Mac apps, like Tiny Clips, I release with Sparkle, which we've talked about for auto
Mhm.
updating. And usually people can just download it. I do have it on Test Flight. I have it on the App Store. But,
Okay.
one of the ways that a lot of people get apps is homebrew, just doing brew, whatever, installing said app. I went through the journey of putting Tiny Clips on Mac for that. It's relatively straightforward.
Is
There's
it?
like there's like a cask file. It updates. You have to just have like a few lines to like register the homebrew. It totally works. What I did is I
Okay.
just found another app that I use that uses homebrew, and I was like,
Right.
go copy what this does and put it in my repo, and then it did it, and it worked.
Because I've never done
Mm.
homebrew deployments. They seem difficult and confusing because it's all like Git based, and it's worse than that. It's like all GitHub based, and
Yep.
so it all is very confusing to me. Especially Mac apps are so much easier. You just get a .app file, you put it in a zip, and you upload it to your server. Like it's kind of trivial. Um,
But
I know people make fun of that.
the updates
The
need to be
update is
somewhere though.
harder. You're right,
Sparkle.
but you use Sparkle.
Yeah.
You just
Yeah,
use
Sparkle.
Sparkle.
So on Windows, there's Winget, which is
Yeah.
package manager for Windows applications. Now, what's interesting about this is that there is a like official Winget package repo that has all of the information about every package that's on Winget. So if you want to be on the Winget registry, you submit a PR, it goes through a test validation, and it actually gets on there. So anybody can put anything on Homebrew because you can add to Homebrew your repos. They allow James Montemagno's, things, and it'll just add you to the local person's
Gotcha.
register, which is great.
Yeah.
There might be an official one, but I don't know. This seems to work fine. If you're going to use Homebrew, you might as well just run 2 commands instead of 1. So Winget is great because I have it in all those setup scripts, like that Windows app config. I actually have a Winget config file that I have on my machine that has all of the apps that I use personally. And I get a new machine and I
Nice.
do Winget. It's Winget import this file and it'll install everything. And I have a bunch of
Okay, that's
machines that
pretty
I
cool.
need. Yeah, it's super cool, right?
Yeah.
And you can say like Winget export, and it'll export all of your machine settings when you're jumping around. Now, if you're not jumping
Okay.
around a lot, you're like, whatever, not a big deal. But I jump around machines all the time. I have machines that I'm reformatting every single week, and it makes setup a
Oof.
breeze.
Yeah.
For work, I have like test machines, right? So
Mhm.
Winget is super cool. And I was like, I'm going to get Tiny Clips for Windows first into Winget because I'll figure out the App Store later, but I just want to get it in Winget. This will be cool. And it's wild. So I had an MSIX file, which is how it bundled the application up instead of an exe or a zip or whatever. And
Mhm.
the first thing I needed to do is I needed to set up an Azure artifact signing
Oh god.
certificate.
I'm out. I'm done already. Nope, I'm
Now,
out.
now I don't know if this is actually required to publish, but Copilot told me to do it, and this was wild. It was like setting up it was like setting up a DUNS number, in my opinion. But
Yeah,
it was all
great.
through the Azure portal. So you go through Azure, set it up, type in your information, including your DUNS number, and so
Oh,
you're like official, right? So because you're an official publisher of your
okay.
package, so it's really neat. Just like if you were going onto the App Store. And then the crazy part is like through the I have the the Microsoft app authenticator. You have to create like an authorized identity to verify that you are you, and you have to do like a
Mhm.
facial recognition scan.
Oh
It is
gosh.
crazy. Anyways, you get that set up, and then honestly, to get it onto Winget, it's not that hard. There's a bunch of scripts like CI that automatically does it for you, but it's very similar to Sparkle, where you do a release, you do a tag, you get some hashes, and what you do is you submit the URL of like where the package lives and the hash of those
Mhm.
packages that gets validated. So you can't like swap or Rooney it out, right? Which is really neat. And then that goes into the system. They have a whole CI/CD pipeline that installs your app on a whole thing. I actually got a dependent list, or yeah, it's not self-contained. It has actually dependencies. So my app is
Oh.
only 14 megs. So it doesn't include .NET, doesn't include the Windows App SDK because it'll uninstall it and use the machine-wide one automatically. It was super cool. And I worked with the team because I was running into issues because my first time ever doing it.
Aren't you lucky to work
Uh-huh.
with that team?
Let me tell you, so mostly what they told me to do, they're sweethearts, is they mostly were like, here's the logs, download the logs and see what went wrong. But they got to where it was fun because I was running into issues and I was like, I feel as though we should have a skill that's like prepare my app
Yeah.
for Winget. And they're like, yes, we should. So like I think they're working on that. But it was really neat. So now Tiny Clips is on Winget, and then you can do Winget. And now I have a CI/CD pipeline that when I tag a new release, it will automatically submit a new version to Winget that gets validated and published automatically. So it's very similar to Sparkle in that regard, but that is off the App Store, right? So stuff that you're not doing
Mhm.
in-app purchases with, things that you're not charging for. It's a dev utility. You can get the GitHub Copilot app, Git, all these things. It makes it really nice. Don't sleep on Winget, in my personal opinion. That's my
Yeah, I get it. It makes sense. I tend to make two kinds of tools. Ones that I sell, and so I want to charge money for, and then other ones that are just happen to be like .NET tools. And I don't think you can
yeah.
really beat like .NET tool install. Like
Oh, so
that's a
good.
pretty simple way to do it also, or
Yeah.
DNX or whatever. So I just
Oh yeah.
personally haven't had a need for Winget. But it's good to know it's doable. So anyone, if you're having trouble, just email James and he'll explain and he'll debug everything for you.
Just go to the Tiny Clips repo. It's all there for you. Figure it out. You got this. Just copy paste. Say your agent to do it. Okay, Frank.
Okay, that was a good
Topic
topic.
number 4.
Mm.
It's does James matter? And
What
the
what
question
does
we
this topic
proposed.
mean? I see it written down in our notes. It says, "What does James matter?" But matter is capitalized. So I'm like, does James matter? I'm just going to answer, yes, you matter, James. You
Oh,
matter to a
thank you.
lot of people. But capital matter. Are we back to IoT? What are we talking about here?
Yeah, we had an entire podcast of Matter Matters, and Frank, I had a good conversation with my buddy Craig, and
Okay.
your buddy Craig, and they were talking about some of the work they're doing on their house, some of the stuff that I've been thinking about
Mhm.
doing on the house. And a young, wise, middle-aged, wise Frank Krueger once told me that
Thanks.
if you're going to redo outlets and things in your house, make everything IoT compatible. And
Yeah.
I don't think that was realistic because I didn't want 1,000 things on Wi-Fi. But I've been thinking,
Mm.
I've been thinking that maybe Matter solves this problem for me. So let's say, Frank, I want to redo every outlet yet again in the house
Oh gosh.
with
Yeah.
dimmers. I want them all to be on dimmers, and I want them
That's what I'm
all to
saying.
be smart.
It's not a switch if it can't dim.
I agree. Now, what? It's so how? Okay. So let's say I have an Apple TV in one room, and then I have
Yeah.
all these switches throughout the house, and
Yeah.
they're all, I guess they're all Wi-Fi, but Apple HomeKit and Matter compatible. Like, how do they work? Are they on my Wi-Fi network, or is the Matter going to get from one side of my house to the other side of the house? Like, are the Matter devices daisy changing a mesh network?
Mm.
Do I need a receiver in between? And is my
E.
Apple TV the the hub thing, the thread matter?
No, it's not. No, it's
Is
all
it
these things.
is it a strand? Is it a fish wire? What just give me the TLDR of what to do here.
It's mostly a fish wire. No, okay.
Okay.
So you have your network stack, right? So Matter, think of Matter as kind of like HTTP. It's more of a way, a bytes level way of different devices to communicate with each other. So all these Matter devices, that's just kind of the text protocol. It's not just text, but you get what I'm saying. It's the text protocol they're all talking to with each other. So when you have a Matter compatible Apple TV and a Matter capable switch, then the Matter is just how do they say, I'm a switch, oh, I'm a hub, and I'm going to control the switch. That's Matter. That's the kind of the application level in the network stack. Now, what you also have in a network stack is the transport level.
Yeah.
What actual trickery are they using to actually communicate with themselves? Now, this is where you have Wi-Fi, because Wi-Fi is a transport level thinger. It's going to allow these things to communicate with each other. Now, I personally like Matter because it has a very simple Wi-Fi stack involved. It's really easy to build little IoT devices yourself, because most IoT devices can talk Wi-Fi now. Nothing special needed, no special radios, no special protocols, nothing. But Wi-Fi has downsides. Wi-Fi requires either specialized mesh things. If you want mesh, like I have an Eero system, so it's doing its own little trickery for making my Wi-Fi expand to large areas. Basically, every router manufacturer out there has their own janky mesh system to make Wi-Fi expand throughout your house. That said, if you want an actual mesh network that runs purely Matter, that's what Thread is. So Thread is a different transport protocol that is a meshing protocol, so that much like Zigbee or Z-Wave, each little switch kind of relays every message it has to the next switch, to the next switch, to the next switch.
Yep.
You don't have to have good Wi-Fi throughout your entire property to get to like your back garage or back sauna thing or something like that. This little relaying of a mesh network through Thread could do all that. But if you do have a good Wi-Fi system that's already a mesh Wi-Fi system, then you don't need that. Matter can run on Wi-Fi also. So Matter is kind of the application protocol, and then it can run on different transport protocols. Wi-Fi being the most important transport protocol, Thread being a different transport protocol which specializes in mesh stuff, and it can actually run over Bluetooth also, but they don't really like it when you run Matter over Bluetooth. So it tends to use Bluetooth just for setup and things like that. So technically Bluetooth could be a transport for Matter, but no one does it. Don't do it. So those are basically your options: Wi-Fi or Thread as your transport protocols. I do everything personally over Wi-Fi because it's fine. It's fine, James. It's easy. I just have little Eero extenders wherever my switches aren't talking. It's fine. But I get it. People don't want all this stuff, every wall switch to be on their Wi-Fi network. So that would be when you kick over to Thread. Thread support is hardware dependent. It's a different radio. It's a different protocol. So does your Apple TV support it? I don't know. Look at the label. Does your Amazon Dingus support it? I don't know. Look at the label. So you're going to have to find out, because it is a different transport protocol. But if
I
you have something
see.
that talks Wi-Fi, it definitely talks Matter Wi-Fi. Or yeah.
I see. Yeah, I think the Leviton ones are only Wi-Fi. Matter.
Yeah. But it's okay, because the application level will merge all this stuff. So you could have some Thread, some Wi-Fi, and they'll all
Speaking
just
over
work
Matter.
together because they're all just talking Matter in the end. So long as you have some device bridging between those two different transport protocols. And that's where an Amazon Dingus, a modern Amazon Dingus, or I'm sure a Google Dingus, or I'm sure an Apple Dingus, and I'm sure there's open source Dinguses out there that can bridge between all these things.
All right.
But if you do have different transports, you'll need a bridge.
Annoying. Okay. This has been very insightful, and I appreciate you putting up with my not listening to the 45-minute episode that we did. Now this makes complete, this actually, because now it's real. Now it's like a personal, now it's personal, right?
Yeah, it's personal.
It's personal. So I'm going down this route. My only fear, and then we went on the next topic, is if you have like 50 switches on Wi-Fi, it's just going to flood your Wi-Fi network, right?
Define flood.
I don't know.
Flood? Things already flood the network. If you have one Bonjour device on your network, go put up a network monitor. You're already flooded, buddy.
Okay.
Don't worry about it. But B, if you truly are worried, and this is also where all the mesh stuff can help out, because they'll do automatic channel swapping and things like that. But if you really are concerned, you can set up a separate guest network which runs on a separate channel, and then it's not interfering with your precious YouTube downloads or whatever you're doing on your YouTube on your Wi-Fi network. That's so important.
I do have an IoT channel. Yeah, I do. I do have a whole IoT thing.
It is a lot of chatting, but it's not high bandwidth. It's all latency based, and there's a lot of chatting. If you put a network monitor up, you're going to get flooded with the amount of noise going on. But is it affecting your bandwidth? Not really. It's just not. It's Wi-Fi can handle all this stuff these days.
All right.
Good call, though. And for the record, I have roughly 30 IoT devices on my Wi-Fi, and I basically don't notice. It doesn't affect my bandwidth at all. What affects my bandwidth is clouds, because I have Starlink, so that affects it a lot more.
Okay. Okay, let's get back to a little AI development, and then we'll wrap this puppy up in two topics. So we've been doing a lot of Windows development, as you said, and I thought what was really fascinating is we talked a little bit about Visual Studio 2026, and I hopped a bunch into VS 2026 this week, and I heard that you did as well.
Yeah, I did. In fact, it's funny because I started because I'm used to not having Visual Studio. I started the way I would do it on the Mac. I installed the .NET 10 SDK, and I did .NET Run, and my app ran. Like, it built and it ran. I'm like, great,
cool.
This is actually probably the first time I've done Windows development without Visual Studio. And I got VS Code working, and I didn't quite get the debugger working in VS Code, but I'm like, okay, this is cool. I can compile my app, I can run my app. But then I hit a bug. I hit a nasty bug. It was so gross, James. You would close the main window of my app, and the stupid process would keep running. Like, the icon would go away, everything would go away, but the stupid process is just off doing something. It's not even hung. It's not deadlocked. It's running, just doing nothing, just living a zombie life. So I decided I need a real debugger. And so I installed the giant Visual Studio 2026, and it's not even that big, but it's like 2 gigabytes when you download it. And then if you check the WinUI box, it's like, I'm going to take up 20 gigabytes. I'm just like, oh, well, there goes my entire hard drive, but I'm going to do it. I need a good debugger. I know how to use the Visual Studio debugger. And I just want to say, like, it's been actually pretty great. I have it running on a very ancient old Surface Go computer, but
somehow
2026. Yeah, it's got like 2 cores, 4 or 8 gigabytes of RAM. I think it has 8 gigabytes of RAM, and a 1.6 gigahertz processor.
Intel Gold processor, I believe.
Yeah, it's not even. Is it even an Intel processor? It is an Intel processor.
It's an Intel Gold. It's an Intel Gold.
Okay.
It's an Intel Gold. Yeah.
It's ancient. It's ancient. Yeah. And I gotta say, Visual Studio is not too happy, but it's running. And I just wanted to give some shout outs to some of the debugging capabilities of Visual Studio, because when you hit F5 and then you wait 30 seconds, the app loads up, and it has like the little performance graph and the little memory graph. And those have been there forever now. But you can easily do, so I had a problem of it was some kind of like memory. Something was hanging around, some object was hanging around and eating up a thread, and that's why it wasn't exiting. And so I actually got into digging through the garbage collector root graph, seeing what references are being held to this object and what roots are active, and trying to figure out all that terrible event unsubscription we as .NET developers absolutely hate. That's why we use XAML binding as much as possible, so we don't have to do our own event binding, because it's impossible to tear down all those events correctly. But I had to dig through it. I had to do the terrible thing. But even on this tiny screen, itsy bitsy little screen, I was able to do a snapshot, get the full object graph up, look at all the the roots. So why is this object still alive? And then what other objects is that object referencing? And I was able to get through all that stuff. So it's funny, like I've been living the Mac life where I basically use VS Code and the command line, and I'm able to do good app development there. I really am. But it was fun to return to the old Visual Studio 2026 and actually get that debugger running. And it wasn't perfect. There's still a lot of like they obviously don't optimize for that screen size anymore. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But it was fun to have all that power of Visual Studio 2026 there again, and to really dig in and debug through all these problems. So just wanted to give a shout out to Visual Studio 2026 and all the profiling features that are there. And usually I'm a CPU profiler. This time I was doing memory profiling, and got through that object graph though. Thank goodness.
I'll do one better, which is that you could have just done that profiling and then just given it to the profiler agent built into GitHub Copilot, and it would have done all of that for you automatically. It is deeply integrated into the profiler, and the reason I know this is because I was not using the profiler agent, but I was using kind of like a plan agent. There's a profiler agent and there's a debug agent, and the debug agent is beautiful because the debug agent uses all that debugging goodness and sends all that stack trace, all the state of your application, everything over into the agent to diagnose and fix your problem. And that's what I was using this week. I had a crash that I just could not get the snapshot of see where it was happening when. And obviously I didn't have the logs like you because of the debugging that was happening. Boom, booted up Visual Studio 2026, boom, solved in like under a minute. It was brilliant because it had that data. Okay. So you can do the profile agent. Anyways, I'm just now you know. The more you know.
Under a minute. I spent like 6 hours on this. Thanks, James.
Well, the more now just redo the profile agent and see what else you find. That's what I would tell you to do. The other thing I'll point out that I really used this week, again, not to sleep on, is the powerful tools for hot reloading the UI. So the app preview, the live visual tree, the property tree. You can open your WinUI app, and you can do this with WPF and other thing, and you can select the element just like you would on a web app. You can send it to the agent, but you can also just legitimately open the XAML file, make the tweaks, and boom, it's there. And this, to me, again, knowing the stack, knowing how XAML works, knowing how WinUI, how MAUI works, all these things are so important because when I open that XAML page, I know I can visualize it and I can see it. So I can make the edits by hand, artisanal XAML coding over here, or if you're doing in C#, whatever it is, and you can boom and then see it, the app update in real time. And I was just, all those little tiny tweaks that make the native UI so good, I was able to do different paddings, different highlighting, different drop shadows, different alignment because I could just tweak it and see it in real time. Whereas I kept telling the agent, I'll just move it like center the div, right? And it's like, oh, I'm going to try. It's like, no, you're not going to
margins.
Try. Oh my God. It's hard.
It's just like constantly tweaking padding margins.
So
I appreciate that because it's the one thing I missed from MAUI. MAUI, for whatever reason, had a more reactive XAML editor when I first started doing it. So I would edit something in the XAML and it would pop up in the app. But for whatever reason, I didn't install enough gigabytes worth of workloads. I haven't gotten that live XAML experience. So I definitely need to get that working next, because I'm totally in that point where I'm changing like padding values by 2 pixels and deciding which one I actually prefer. So I'm 100% in that mode where I need that right now.
It's probably there. You should see a little adornment, like a little thing that's on the top of your app, but it's also just open.
It's always there.
It's always there if you're debugging. But if you click on there, you can, just like in Chrome DevTools or Edge Chrome Tools or whatever, whatever the dev tools are, you can like highlight an element and then it'll just open the XAML. But it's open the XAML live preview. That's the window you want to look for. I guarantee it's if you have that adornment, it's in Visual Studio. You just need to find the window. So the MAUI team like opened it automatically because they knew it was hard to find. All right, last thing, one more app. So this was one that I actually did with Burke Holland. We did this, funnily enough, with Claude Fable 5 before it got banned.
Pricey, baby.
So I took his app, Resize Me. You can go to resizeme.dev. And he built it for Windows with some like Go thing. I'm going to rewrite it in WinUI. Don't tell him that. But I decided to port it to SwiftUI for Mac OS. And a native menu bar. And what this does is it's a little app that
Oh, I love
sits,
it.
and you select a resolution, and you can use a hotkey to resize that window to that resolution, which is
Thank God.
perfect when you need to resize
Screenshots.
things.
When you need to do screenshots.
When you need to do screenshots, you can favorite, you can do things, resizeme.dev. It's there. It's awesome. Give it a go. It's on Homebrew. It's there. So give it a go. So, yeah.
And on Windows, I didn't. I'm a big dummy. I didn't know Homebrew ran on Windows. Okay, of course it does. Everything seems to run on Windows now.
Well, Homebrew is there, but you can't like install things with Homebrew.
Oh, okay. I'm
Yeah.
confused then. Okay, got it. Okay.
Yeah. I think I need to update I need to update his website so it goes to like the right thing on the website. But if you go to the releases, you'll see the Windows version that he has from 4 days ago. So,
Okay, this one is good because I have not made my new screenshots yet, and that is going to come. And I want beautiful screenshots everywhere.
exactly. So it's good in there. You can grab it, resize me. We're just getting it. We're gonna get it into Winget. We're figuring it all out. It's all happening hot. That one we did. Just little utilities like this are so good because, like what you're saying, it's like, yeah, I just need this resolution. Boom, 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 go. Now on Windows, I actually use Power Tools, and you can set up the what are they called? The zones. It's like
Zones. You can do like fixed size zones or something.
yeah, you can basically slice and dice, and then you hold down Shift, drag a window, and it snaps zones basically inside of Power Toys. It's super nice, but this is still nice when you want sizes on demand for all intents and purposes. Yeah,
Gotcha.
I need
Resize me.dev. Cool.
Resize me.dev. I'm going to open up the GitHub Copilot app, and I'm going to fix the website because right now the Windows one is just pointing to the most recent release, which happens to be the Mac app. So.
That's what caught me. That's why I got confused. I'm like, you have Homebrew on Windows, which I
Yeah, we
totally
don't.
get. You probably could, but
So I can tell it. I'll say, hey, over there, can we clean up the website so when we go to Windows, it goes to the latest Windows release and not actually the Mac release? Check out the tags to figure that out. And then also make sure that's really easy to highlight those different brew commands on Mac because the screen seems to be going away on the website.
Okay. See, it's that last
Sent it off.
20% of releasing apps. Somehow we did another one of those episodes. I feel like every year we have the last 20% of actually releasing these things.
It totally is, yeah. Anyways, all right, that's going to do it for this week's Merge Conflict Whirlwind Tour. 10 minutes or less on each of those topics, I'm pretty sure. This time
Totally.
around. Yep. Let us know if you have any thoughts, questions, comments, and concerns, or if you have found too many Wi-Fi switches using Matter or not on your network, or if you're using other ones. I was going to go with the Levitons, but they only seem to be Wi-Fi. But let me know. Drop us a comment on our YouTube video, youtube.com/@mergeconflictfm. We're getting squeakily close to 1,000 subscribers to the channel.
Sweet.
We're at 914 with over 162 watch hours a month.
Not that you're counting. Tell everyone, tell your
There.
60 friends to come join.
All of them.
I'm sorry, what'd you say? 914? Yeah, so we need 86
914.
more.
That is correct. I will say on podcast downloads alone, we have officially breached 3 million downloads of Merge Conflict in the episode. So thanks to everyone that's been listening for all of these years and getting us a boost these last 3 months in usage. Tell your friends, tell your colleagues, all your app development goodness here. That's going to do it for this week's Merge Conflict. So until next time, I'm Jason Magno.
And I'm Frank Kruger. Thanks for watching and listening.
Peace.